9-minute mark. Alright, so I've done a bunch of neutral game tutorials already for KOF13, and I've more or less gone over everything I need to go over in order for you to know what your options are. Just what I want this video to be is sort of a summary of those lessons, and just to go over a handful of everyday common match situations, and that you can think about which of these, you'll want to do. But basically, I'll give you multiple counters per annoying thing in a bunch of these matchups. So, for example, if King throws a light Venom Strike at you, there's plenty of things you could do. If you remember the projectile tutorial, if you jump after it's out, she'll easily be able to anti-air that on reaction depending on what she's doing. So you don't want to jump too late. You could, if you time this right, you could roll through it, okay, but you have to predict when she's going to throw it. You need to roll that kind of even before she even throws it. Otherwise, you're going to be too late. Again, if you try to roll it, see, she's already recovered. If you try to roll it after it's out, you're going to be too late. She's going to recover, and if she's really good, she's going to get damage off of that roll. So you can't roll it late. You can't jump it late. Here's a bunch of different options you have. You could simply block it and build a meter. You could neutral jump it. Depending on your character, you might be able to hop it. Diamond can just hop it. Okay. A third option you have is to read it and jump at the right time. Okay. But you have to jump before it appears on screen in order for that to actually be a legit punish. Okay. A fourth option you have. Wait, was that 4 options? 1, 2. Block is 3. Jump over is 4 without moving forward. Whoop! You time it right, you can hop it. You can neutral jump it. And of course, a fifth option, your 5th, 6th, and 7th options may be character specific, okay? Like Daimon has a 5th option. Okay? It actually, oddly enough, it doesn't work very well against King. Because if you time it wrong, her feet are actually off the ground and this doesn't work. But DP Light Punch with Daimon is a 5th option you have. And if Daimon has a bar, you even have another option. You could spend a bar to roll through that, although if you're going to make that kind of a read, I don't know why you wouldn't just want to roll through it like normal with Light Punch, Light Kick. But there you go. There's at least 4 different things that every character can do, and Daimon has a 5th and a 6th thing that can be done against Light Venom Strike. If you want to roll through it, though, you need to be at the right spot. If you want to super jump it, though, you need to be at the right spot. If you want to block it or hop it, you don't, but you also, are not really aggressing, and you're not really countering it at that point. You're just sort of waiting and seeing if the King player will vary up her offense or something like that. So you have options that directly counter it, and then you have options that are just sort of waiting and biding your time. All are viable, and you need to use them all to try and get into your opponent's head to see what they're trying to do. If it comes out, and after it's out you roll, or after it's out you jump, terrible, you shouldn't have done that, not going to work. But there's at least 4 that every character can do. Let's turn the tables. What's an annoying thing that Daimon can do? I mean, there is DP Light Punch, but that's not incredibly annoying. Probably the most annoying thing you'll have to deal with is Daimon's normals. So, this is one of a couple of examples I'll do. Probably one of the most common questions I get is, how do I deal with Jump CD? So I'll show you how to deal with Daimon's Jump CD. Let's hyper hop here. There we go. It's a hyper hop CD. So, what are the options? Number 1, you don't have to be there. Move around. This is King of Fighters. You can move a lot. There's almost no reason that you need to be standing right here when Daimon... Okay. If you're standing right here, then that means that Daimon could hyper hop CD. If you're standing over here, then he can't. Watch your spacing. Think about how far his hyper hop CD reaches, and how if you're standing at certain spots, it won't work. So number 1 is, you don't have to be there. Okay? Number 2... seems obvious. You could block it. Remember that hop CDs are not overheads, okay? But you could just block it, and then you could deal with the mix-up afterwards. Knowing how to alternate guard might be useful against grapplers, okay? Just something else to look up. I have made a video on that, okay? Okay, option 2 is block. Option 3, if you predict it, or depending on where you're standing and your spacing, you should be able to go for some kind of anti-air, okay? If you can't see the hops on reaction, then don't try to react. Hit a button when you think they're going to hop. And in King's case, she has many different things she can anti-air with preemptively. And a jumping normal is the easiest option, okay? The best defense is a good offense. If you're jumping towards Daimon, and then he jumps towards you at the same time, then there's a good chance that whatever button you're press is going to win if you catch him off guard. Okay? If you are jumping towards someone, and then they try to jump towards you while you're in the air, assuming you hit a button, they're probably not going to win. By having a good offense, you can prevent Daimon from even going for it. That doesn't work. Okay. So, number 3 is you could have a good offense. Have a good offense or anti-air. Anti-airing, you could do it predictively, okay? A predictive anti-air, just by, if you know that you're in the range where he could jump, hit the button before he actually jumps. Hit buttons early. See if you'll catch people that are jumping. That's something that you can do, and it's something you need to consider. Because if you try to wait for the jump, and then try to anti-air, you might be too slow. That's because of the speed of KOF13. Now, you absolutely could, if you're really good, react with an anti-air of some kind. Either an invincible one, or in King's case, you might have a normal that's fast enough that reaches, okay? Not everyone will. Let's say your regular Kyo, you might have to go for a standing A. Maybe you'll have to be a little closer, maybe a little further back. Regular Kyo has an uppercut. You could also, again, option 3, hop CD. Predictive anti-airs. And don't forget, option 1, block. Avoid it. You don't have to be there. Option 2. Option 2 is block. And another option, which is going to depend on when they hit their button, is the crouching anti-air, okay? Remember, when someone jumps in King of Fighters 13, they cannot block on the frame that they land. So if you have an attack out, and they land on it, they absolutely cannot block that. It's impossible if they land on an attack that's already out. So, if you try to crouch block here and throw an attack out just before they land, and if you time it right, oopsie, too late. If you time it right, you absolutely can get a combo and then go into something else. Okay? If people keep hitting early buttons in the air against you, you can use that crouching anti-air. So again, predictive normals, don't be there. Block. Low anti-air, okay? Reactive anti-air, if you have an uppercut, or if you have a very, very fast normal, like King standing C, or if you just have good reactions. You can react, you can predict. The point is, you either need to predict and act now, or you need to anticipate and then react later, okay? Okay, but Daimon's jumping CD, King's light Venom Strike. Plenty of ways to avoid them both, no matter which character you are. Let's move on to another example. Common example. Exact! Rekkas! And in Iori's case, I'm not even going to use the Rekka. EX Kyo's is a little better. How do you deal with Iori's Hop D? How? How is it feasible? Nyeh. His Hop D is so good. You hit it a little bit early and it's good air to air, and it even works air to ground if he times it right. See that? That's a perfectly timed Hop D. It'll catch someone crouch blocking, so I can't even do the low anti-air. Ooh, it's going to depend on the spacing. See, look. If you're really close, it will work. A little further away. Hang on a second. Ooh, nice. Why is that not hitting? Hit me. Hit me. There we go. Nice. Oh, you know what it is? EX Kyo's Hurtbox moves a little bit when he does crouching B. Okay, that's why that is. Okay. There we go. Let's try it here. Wow, yep. That's just a Kyo thing. Alright, that's good to know. But depending on where he does this, you might not be able to get the crouching attack, depending on your character. EX Kyo looks like he can get under this, but some characters can't, okay? You might need to, again, think about the Daimon Hop CD scenario. Option 1. You don't gotta be there. Know how far Iori's Hop D reaches, and you don't have to be in that spacing. You don't have to be there. This is King of Fighters. You can move around. If Iori comes at you and hops, you don't have to be there. Okay? Option number 2, of course, block. If you're confident in dealing with your opponent's mix-ups, you could just block, no harm, no foul. Option 3, preemptive anti-air. That's reactive. If you think you know when your opponent's going to hop, there's plenty of things you could do. Okay, by having a good offense, that's a good way of preventing your opponent from hopping at you. Okay, you could run up and hit a jab. You could run up and hit a crouching C. Depending on your character, if it's vertical, you could run up and hit close C. That was covered in the King of Fighters Beginners video. Option 4, a reactive anti-air. If you have an uppercut, or if you have very, very good reactions, you might be able to just like wait for your opponent and try to react. Okay, if they full jump, this should be a bit easier. And if you get a trade, that's fine. That's better than getting comboed. Okay, there's plenty that you can do here. And of course, he does have an uppercut. Okay, those 4 perfectly good things you can do against the Iori's Hop D. And what can EXKyo do? He has extra options. He's got this. What do you got? He's got that. If you want to be risky, you could just throw that out. See what you get. There's plenty that you can do with all characters against Iori's Hop B. It's just a matter of, do you know how to move? Do you predict? Can you react to their jump-ins? For most players, the answer is no to all of these, and that's why they don't know how to deal with it. Okay, let's switch the roles here. Y'all don't know about Mystic Quest. Alright. Okay, his hop CD, don't really need to cover it. But what if he goes for a Rekka? Rekkas are very annoying, you could say. Like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to block with this and then I have to guess on the block or whatever, you know? When it comes to EXKyo's Rekkas, there's plenty you can do. You might say, oh, but he has armor. You know, he has armor on the upper body, so I have trouble poking him, you know? Oh man, he armored me, I can't poke him. Well, you're wrong, there's plenty that you can do. Let's go back a sec. When you think about the jumping attacks, I have number 1, avoid it, number 2, block it, number 3, predict it and beat it, and number 4 is react. All 4 are still viable here. Number 1, who says you have to be there? Know the range of his Rekka. His Rekka reaches about that far, okay? About, say, the round start range, about here. Okay? About maybe 3 characters away is where it reaches, okay? So if you're about 3 characters away, you don't have to be there. You could stay a little bit further away. Or how about this? You could be in the air! That's another way of avoiding it. If you're in the air, then it's not going to work, is it? Plenty that you can do here. Option 2, again, doesn't seem to require explanation. You could just block it. He's going to be minus on block, and if he goes for more, he's going to get significantly more minus every time he does it. Okay? If you know EXKyo and you know your own character, you might be able to know what the punishes are for the Rekkas and the various positions that you could be at. Okay? Option 3, prediction. Now, he does have upper body armor, so throwing out pokes predictively may or may not work depending on the timing of his armor if it's upper body. However, you can always beat Rekka with lows. It does not have upper body armor. If you just throw out low Bs infinitely like this, there's nothing he can do about that. He's going to move forward into it. Okay? If you want to predict a Rekka, you could, of course, as I showed in step 1, you could avoid with a jump. But a second option you have is to just go for lows. Okay? If you go for lows, he's not going to be able to do anything about that. Okay? Unless you're way, way, way too far away and you trade, the idea is your lows should pretty much always beat whatever he does. Oh boy. Whoop. Okay, so you can absolutely beat EXKyo's Rekkas by going low. Now, a fourth option you have the reaction answer. It's going to depend on what character you have. Not all characters can do this. You might be able to punish his first Rekka if you block it closely, okay? Not all characters will have access to that, but even if you don't have access to that, in EX Iori's case he does if you have 2 bars, okay, that is going to be a punish that EXKyo cannot do anything about. If he's a little bit further away, it's still going to be a punish, okay? So that is absolutely something else you can do. By reaction, in this case, we could change the example to, you know, you could punish it on block if you have access to a move like that. However, not all characters do. Even if you don't have access to a punish, you still have 3 good options for avoiding his Rekkas. Number 1, actually move and avoid. Number 2, you could block them. And number 3 is you could predict them. With prediction, there's a couple of different counters you can come up with. Neutral jumps, low Bs, into combos. Okay, there's plenty that you can do against EXQ's Rekkas. Come on, Doom Castle, come back. Okay, next example. 2 characters that are very annoying. Depending on who you play against and what level they're on. Hi, hi, hi! Okay, what's a very annoying thing from Ryo that he does? Quarter circle forward hard punch. It reaches really far. Look at this thing. Oh, God. It reaches just about the range of the start of the round. Okay? It's very difficult. If you jump at the same time that he throws it, there's a good chance you're going to run into it. Walking. Oh, wow, Billy. He jumps too high. Especially if you're hopping. The thing about his fireballs is because of his height, they're excellent at stopping hops. Some characters can hop over it. Okay? Some characters cannot. It's going to depend on the timing of your jumps. But let's think about what are different ways you can deal with it. Number 1, avoid it. You don't have to know the range of it. The range of it is about the start of the round. So if you were over here, it would miss. And maybe you can use that to your advantage. Option 2, doesn't need explaining. You could block it. Nobody says you have to be jumping in, doing things all the time. Maybe by crouch blocking, you can make him want to do something about... Ooh, boy. Maybe by crouch blocking, you can bait your opponent into being impatient, and then you can go for something else. Option 3 is you could... What was I thinking? You could predict it, okay? It does have a bit of startup on it, okay? If you have a good offense, there's absolutely... If you're trying to rush down a Ryo player, there's a good chance that you can prevent him from doing a lot of what he wants to do. His hard fireball is kind of slow on startup, okay? So if you are constantly pressing the issue against him, if you're constantly in his face about here and hitting buttons, it's unlikely that he'll be able to hit quarter circle forward C a whole lot. By staying at this spacing and timing your hops properly, there are things that you absolutely could do to prevent him from wanting to throw the fireballs in the first place, okay? Another thing you can do to predict, if you do have a character that can hop high enough, is you might be able to jump over it. Woo! And looks like Billy does have a super jump that goes high enough. And another option you have to predict is you could roll forward. If you know when he's going to throw it, and you roll before it comes out of his hands, then you absolutely can get a punish here. Come on! But again, you need to predict, because you cannot roll after it's out, because that's going to be too late. Depending on the player, depending on when you roll and how late it is, he might be able to punish you. See that right there? That's too late. Ryo's going to recover first. Not going to work. You need to roll. You see when I rolled there? I've already rolled before the fireball's out of his hands. Yeah! Plenty of things you can do. Now, option 4 on reaction. Okay, if you were to guard cancel roll this, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get there in time. So reacting to this, unless you have something that goes through fireballs, you're not going to have too many options because of how big the hitbox is. Your Billy, you could go for a Neomax or something for minimum damage, but the idea is because this reaches so much space, let's see, if you're out of the range of it, maybe you'll be able to react with something over here. Okay? But if the Ryo player is throwing fireballs at you when you're that far away, then the Ryo is bad. Anyway, there you go. At least 3 or 4 or 5, plenty of good options. You have early roll, you have early super jump. You could stay in his face so that you can hit the startup of it to prevent him from wanting to throw it in the first place. Okay? There's plenty that you can do against a Ryo that's throwing hard fireballs all day. And the light fireball, in case you're curious, goes nowhere. Because it occupies less space, there's less space control you have to do to actually deal with it. His light fireball is better for poke strings, his hard fireball is better for controlling space. Let's switch the roles again. Let's go to Billy. Hi. A lot of people ask me questions about this next normal. And, well, it's minus on block, so it's ultimately not incredibly complicated. It's just a matter of spacing, okay? Let's do it this way. Forward A. Forward A is annoying, right? But there's plenty of things you can do against it. Just like there's plenty of things you can do against everything. Again, option 1, you don't have to be there. If you move around, you can make him whiff these things. You might even be able to get a whiff punish depending on where you're standing. Okay, that's going to come down to your skill and if you're predicting such a thing. But you could avoid it, okay? Another thing you could do is you could jump. It doesn't reach that high. Okay, so it's catching me halfway up on the jump. If you jump really early and predict it, whoop! You might be able to get something. Whoop! It depends on the Billy and when they like to throw it, but if you jump straight up, you might be able to catch him. It's going to depend on the timing, the spacing. Timing and spacing decide everything in this game. Just because you jump doesn't guarantee it's going to work. It's going to depend on when you jump and when he hits his button. You could avoid it. Option 2, of course, you could block it. This is one of the best options because it's actually minus on block. If you stick out a button after you block it, you can prevent him from doing another one. Seriously, hit a button, any button you want. As long as you're not incredibly stupidly slow, you're going to beat his next thing. I'll even throw a special move and I'm still going to trade, even with that really high startup. Now he went over the standing D because it's a little bit too low. If you hit anything at the waist or head level, he's not going to win if he goes for another forward A. Not at all. Okay, you don't have to go for an uppercut or anything like that. Just hit standing A. Bah. Pretty much every character that's going to be able to beat a Billy going for 2 forward A's in a row after you block one. Okay? Third option, predict, okay? If you're controlling the space, he should not be able to run up to you and actually hit forward A. If you're keeping your opponent out of that spot with actually good rush down or good defensive space control, okay, which could all be thought of as predictive methods of preventing his forward A, okay? If you're actually doing these things, then he's not going to be able to hit forward A whenever he wants. He sucks! Okay? If a Billy's just running up and hitting forward A, then you're not actually controlling the space. You need to be more predictive and you need to go for more things. Ah, shit. Ah, am I too slow? Yeah, I'm too slow. Okay? You can go for more things. Go for Hyper Hop CD. Go for running up attacks. There's plenty of things you can do. You're just scaring yourself into not doing them. Okay? Now, for most characters are not going to be able to have a reaction punish to this. Let me try to punish it this way. Looks like Rio is not going to be able to punish it that way. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Billy's forward A can be punished on block, okay? But that's really not incredibly relevant because you still have plenty of other things you can do. You can avoid it, you can block it, you can predict it. If you know the options before, during, and after all of those scenarios, there's no reason Billy should just be running rampant on you with forward A or hop CD or anything else. I've already given you tons of examples for dealing with hopping normals. Alright, next example. 2 more to go. You might notice that I'm starting to repeat myself a little bit. That's kind of the point. My point is it's the same. Characters may have different special moves, they may have different ways of implementing certain strategies, but ultimately the way you deal with them all is always the same. Okay, Mature. Mature's DPC is annoying. Okay? The major reason it's annoying is because if you're holding back as she does it, then you're locked in proximity guard, and that can cause it to cross you up. Okay? So there's plenty of ways for you to deal with it. Option 1 is avoid it. And how you avoid it? Run forward. Woo! When you see it, just run forward. What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? She's stuck in it. If you learn Mature, you'll know that she's stuck in it all the way for the entire arc. You have no reason whatsoever to be standing there. It only causes proximity guard and glues your feet to the ground if you're holding back. If you don't hold back, then your feet aren't glued to the ground. Woo! You can hop. You can move. Go do stuff. All you have to do is not hold back, and Mature will not lock your feet to the ground. Oh! There's plenty that you can do there. Option 1 is move. Option 2 is block it. If you learn Mature and you learn the spacing where this crosses up and where it doesn't, then you'll be able to block it. You'll be able to see, like right here, it's going to cross up. So I'll know that I should hold the other direction, okay? Or I should wait and hit the other direction just before she gets there, okay? You'll need to be worried about the frame advantage she's going to get off of it, though, if she does it low enough. But you absolutely could block it, okay? Woo! You could avoid it with a roll. Avoid it in plenty of ways, okay? Oh, wow. A third option, predict it. If you predict it, there's plenty that you can do. The easiest answer is just super jump at her, okay? If you're super jumping at a Mature, it's going to be very difficult for her to throw these out, okay? If you're constantly jumping straight up and super jumping and such, then depending on timing, okay, she's going to have a lot of trouble actually getting these out. Same with hops and the light punch version that she does. Okay? So if you keep up your hops and your full jumps, you can prevent a Mature from actually using those moves if you decide to control the space that way. Okay? A fourth way of, and as far as, you know, option number 4, reaction, it's basically a super jump. And if you're waiting way at the front, out of a range where it's going to cross up, that's going to be an easy anti-air, assuming you have something invincible. If you don't go for something invincible and you try to anti-air with a normal or something, you can come right under the center of it if you're at the right spacing. Whew. Okay? It's also going to depend on when she lets it out. But, notice if she lets that out a little bit earlier, that's going to screw with my ability to anti-air this cleanly. Like that. If she lets it out early, your normals might not be able to anti-air it. But if she lets it out early, that means there's plenty of things she's not doing. It means she's not hitting it up there. Again, you can run out of the way of it. And another thing is if she's letting it out early, it might miss if you crouch. Plenty of things you can do. But again, if you have something that's invincible, that should be relatively easy for you to react with. Okay? React with anything invincible, and pretty much every character in the game has something that's invincible for a bar. Except for poor Mai Shiranui. But even in Mai Shiranui's case, she still has plenty of things she can do. You can block it, you can move out of the way, in Mature's case by moving forward, okay? You can react with something invincible, you can predict it by occupying those spaces in the air where she's gonna be. Oh shit. Can't play karate anymore. There we go. Oh, I'm too early. Okay. Does that work? There we go. Plenty of ways for you to deal with her DP plus hard punch, and you can apply similar concepts to her DP plus light punch. Let's switch it around. How do you deal with Karate's quarter circle forward A? Oh, it's so oppressive. There's so little that you can do against it. Oh no. Okay? Karate's quarter circle forward A recovers really, really fast. And if you're hopping at him, or if you're trying to approach on the ground, it's basically a stop sign and it says no. But there's still plenty that you can do against it, okay? Option 1 is you can avoid it, okay? You don't have to be in the range of it. It actually has a very, very small range compared to a lot of things, okay? It reaches less far than most hopping normals, okay? Okay, so it reaches about the same range as his crouching D. Maybe a hair or two further, okay? So if you are this far away or further away, then he can't use quarter circle forward A against you. He might do other things, but if he's doing other things, then you shouldn't be scared of quarter circle forward A. You need to decide what moves you're looking for and which moves you're choosing to counter. If you're scared of his hop CD and his quarter forward A and his half circle back kick, then of course you're just going to sit there and block and lose. If you're scared of everything, then you're going to do nothing, okay? But regarding quarter circle forward A, okay, you don't have to be in the range of it. A second option, if you are this close, you could block it, but ultimately, because this is the range where Karate's offense tends to excel, and a good Karate is rather going to rush you down rather than push you out, blocking should be probably your least likely option, because you really shouldn't be in this range against Karate a whole lot, not of your own volition, okay? A third option, prediction, okay? If you predict it, you can jump right over it. Okay? Think of it like King's Light Venom Strike. Jump before he throws it. Jump before he throws it. 1, 2, jump. If you jump before he throws it, he's going to get blown up in his face. Oops. Okay. If you predict his quarter circle forward A's, then he can't throw them for free all the time. Okay? Absolutely. Now, you might not be able to hop. It depends on how early you predict it. If you predict it really early, you might be able to hyper hop at him. Okay? And you might be able to get that counter hit. Whew. Ah, I missed it. There's probably more I can get off of that. But the whole point is, if you keep up a good offense, then he's not going to be able to just throw these out whenever he wants, okay? If you're scared of his uppercuts and so you won't go on offense, then you're never going to stuff his quarter circle forward A. It's that simple. So if in order for you to stuff his quarter circle forward A by jumping early, you have to not be scared of his uppercut. Pick one to be scared of, but don't be scared of both. Otherwise, you will do nothing. It's very similar in many, many matchups, okay? It's very similar to that, okay? So, of course, you could predict it. A fourth option you have, okay? Now, this is very, very fast on recovery, but that does not mean that it's impossible to react to it. In fact, Mature has a good option for this. Well, it's kind of slow, but depending on where you're standing, Mature might be able to react to this, probably with an EX to spare, okay? Let's back up a little bit. Let's get a real reaction here. Wow. Both punches, please. Okay. Okay, now, Mature might be able to react with an EX to spare, or you don't even have to counter it straight up, okay? You can see it, say, okay, he's doing this, so that means I can take this time to throw something else out. Okay? If you react to his quarter circle forward A, say, with an EX one of these, I forget what it's called, with an EX Ebony Tears, okay, then that means that he's still in recovery here, and now he's in the proximity guard from this. Now, he does have options against this, okay, but the point is, you saw that he was in the recovery of the move, and you chose to do that to start your own strategy. Whether or not it works is besides the point. The point is, you saw that he did something, you reacted, and now you're the one that's deciding how the match is going to go. You don't have to counter it straight up. If you wanted to counter it straight up with Mature, you might want to try to anticipate it with the kick super, okay? Okay, but that would be more anticipation. Another way of anticipating would be with a full jump. So on reaction, Mature doesn't have a whole lot of great options, but you know what? Honestly, most characters don't have good options, so it doesn't really matter. Okay? The reason Karate's quarter circle forward A is strong is because it's hard to react to, and you do have to predict it. So predict it, or be out of the range of it, or block it. Plenty of options you have for any character. What you have to do is make decisions and actually do things, okay? Either predict and act, or anticipate, then react, okay? 2 more examples and then I'm done. Okay, Shen. What has he got? He's got a really good jumping CD. I know I've covered jumping CD, but a lot of people say, oh, Shen's is better than most characters, so you have to deal with it different. No, you don't. It's KOF. Fundamentals. All right, let's go over the options one more time. Surya! Okay, option 1. Know the range of it. You don't have to be there. Move out of the way. You could hyper hop backwards. Depending on the range, you could just hop backwards, okay? You could jump straight up. Depending on when he hits his button and the spacing between you, it might completely miss. Option 2, block it. Okay, block it. You don't have to be hitting buttons. You don't have to be doing anything crazy. If you block them, that's better than getting hit by them, okay? Assuming you are okay at dealing with the mix-ups afterwards. If you're not confident about dealing with the mix-ups afterwards, then don't block it and go for option 1 or option 3. Avoid it, or option 3, predict! Run towards him and hit standing A if you think he's gonna hop. Or if you think he's gonna hop at him! Get something! With your own good offense, that's a good way of predictably stopping their offense. Reset. Okay, there's plenty that you can do. What's another thing you can do to predict? Oh, neutral hop. King's neutral hop D, Vice's neutral hop D is great at this. All those other hop CD examples I said. Another way to predict is to neutral hop. Now, I'm not reacting to his hop. Oh, there he hopped. I'm gonna neutral hop now. No, I'm too late. I'm not reacting to his hop. I'm choosing to hop early. At about the same time so that I can occupy that space, control that space, and keep them out of the air. Okay? As far as reactions go, here's something Vice can do. If she sees an opponent jump at her, she could try on reaction. She could try on reaction to do this. Not every character is going to have some. Oh, wow. Depends on how you time it. There you go. Gotta be a little later than that. Okay? Now, of course, Shen could avoid that by not sitting there, and this is not something that every character has, but every character might, well, some characters will have an option to react with, okay? For many characters, just a crouching normal will be just fine, depending on where you're standing. I did it again. Depending on where you're standing, you might be able to react with the normal, okay? Let's see. If you have an uppercut, you might be able to react with that. There's plenty that you can do here. Plenty of options, okay? As I've said before, over and over and over, and I'm going to repeat this until my tonsils go gray, you either predict and you act now, or you anticipate and then you can react in a second. If you're anticipating it, then your reaction on that standing A, or that close C, or that hop CD, or whatever else is going to work better. But if you're just waiting for your opponent to do things, you're going to get rushed down all day, and it's not, and a neutral game is not going to happen for you. You need to make predictions, okay? Okay. Lots of players, when they come across decent Vices, they say, well, how do I deal with Vice's sleeve? Vice's sleeve seems really strong. It occupies a lot of space. It's good at controlling space. And you know what? It does. But it's analogous to Karate's quarter circle forward A. Your answers to it will be exactly the same, spacing permitting. Sorry. Okay? Let's say she throws out the light one, which starts faster and recovers a little bit faster, okay? Option 1, you don't have to be there. If you're over here, the Vice player has to move forward to really do anything. The only thing the Vice could do over there is DP hard punch, and that's terrible. That should be a very easy reaction for most players. So that said, if you're out of the range of it, you can egg the Vice on and make her want to move forward. That's option 1. Okay? Option 2, this is not a grab. If you just sit here and block, you will also egg the Vice on into moving forward. Just sitting on crouch block and waiting for Vice is a very easy way to annoy a very defensive Vice that likes to space out. Just sit here. It doesn't even do any chip. What does it do, chip? It doesn't even do any chip. It's completely worthless as a pressure tool. It's only good if people are actually running in and doing stuff constantly, okay? So if you don't do anything and you just sit there and block is option 2, what's she gonna do? She'll have to move forward, or she'll have to try to rush you down at some point, depending on the life and the timer situation, okay? Option 3 is prediction. Jump it! Oh, okay? Again, jump before she throws it out. If you jump after she throws it out, number 1, you might be a little bit late. Well, let me... Woo! So that way. Okay, if you jump after she throws it out, number 1, you might be so late that you get caught. That's number 1. Number 2, you're probably going to be too late. Let me see. After she throws it out. It's out. Oh, I was too late. Oh, I was too late. Look at that. That was still too late. In order for you to actually get something, you need to jump before she throws it out. Just like with King's Light Venom Strike, just like with karate's quarter circle forward A, you want to predict it if you want to do something actually strong against it. You got to predict it. Another thing you could do, just like with Ryo, you could roll straight through it. Oh, wow, I dropped that. Again, if you predict it and you roll early, then she's going to miss, and you're going to get something. Ooh. Roll it early. Jump it early. And, depending on the character, if you're at the right range, you might have something you might be able to react with. Ooh. Okay? Now, for you to be able to react to this, you should probably make it whiff. And you should also probably be anticipating it. I'm going to start pressing quarters before she does it, and then when she does it, I'm just going to press the punches. The only thing I'm actually reacting with is the punches. Okay? Okay? This is something you can practice for a little bit, and then when you come across an actual opponent, you want to try not pressing the buttons if she doesn't do it. Again, this is going to be character specific how much stuff you can react to, but again, even if you can't do any of those, you still have avoid it, block it, and predict it. Plenty of things you can do for all scenarios. And I'm repeating myself at this point, and this video is way too long. It's about 40 minutes. So with that, I think I'm just about done. I hope that through these videos I've given you ideas for what to do in the neutral game, but ultimately it always comes down to the same thing. You need to predict more and do more. If you sit on your ass and wait for your opponent to do things and wait for them to destroy themselves, you absolutely cannot be good at KOF. Take the initiative. When both of you take the initiative, okay, then the game changes. And then, acting defensively and anticipating certain things then can be a good strategy. But if you're waiting for your opponent and playing defensively just because you're scared of going on offense, then you cannot be good at the game, and it's not going to work for you over the long run, or against even moderately intermediate players are going to be able to break that defense down. Especially offline. So that's just about that. Thanks for watching. That's all the neutral game videos. I will resume the character-specific videos at a later date. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you later.